Good morning and welcome to Palm Sunday. we we don't celebrate it quite the same as others do, but we are just I'm loving this time of year, that reminds us that even during the winter season, when it seems like everything is dying off, right, in the cold, that there is a spring that's coming. That's always sort of a prophetic sort of look at even the way the seasons operate. And sometimes we can feel like our winter is in full swing with whatever may be occurring in our lives and in our world. But this is a reminder that really death, burial, and resurrection are all a part of the cycles of life. It's not just a Christian thing, it's just the part of the cycles of life. And that wherever we have experienced loss or maybe experienced the pain of the dark night of the soul, there's the opportunity for new life to blossom. And that's the season that we're in. But this is Palm Sunday on the Christian calendar. And I do find it interesting, and I wanted to cover this real quick before getting into today's talk, that, First Unity Spiritual Campus has been in a transitional period for the last year and a half, 2 years. And there's been a lot that's occurred in that whole time together as a church and as a spiritual community that has, and for some of us, has been disorienting, some painful. We are in the process of really becoming renewed and understanding what it is to be renewed in the spirit of our mind and in our accessing our fully developed, individuated self, as Carl Jung would call it self-actualization, self-realization, coming to the place where we recognize our divine nature. But in that transitional period, that metamorphosis, if you will, it can be a very painful season because it's disorienting. But I do find it interesting that we are here at Palm Sunday, which is really a celebration time. It was where they looked at Jesus coming into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, of all things, not choosing a big stallion or a steed during his time, but choosing the being on the back of a donkey coming into Jerusalem, and how people were celebrating Jesus on that particular weekend, and the very next week would take his life. And so it's interesting, and I think it's important for us to realize that's when we understand that the truth is that you can appreciate when people celebrate you and people affirm you and people confirm you. But remember this: your affirmation and your confirmation is from the divine, and that moves through your authentic identity even more than what people may say to you or do to you or think about you. And it doesn't mean that you're not open to critique and that you're not open to honing your skills and becoming a better person when there's people with equity in your life who may criticize or may come to you and share with you something that could use an adjustment. But remembering that needing other people's opinions, good, bad, or indifferent, causes you to be their slave. And Jesus was coming into Jerusalem not looking to be celebrated, but there many were doing so with the palm branches. They were laying the palm branches down. It's essentially preceding this red carpet being rolled out. And yet within a week, he had gone from hero to zero. And the same can be true for you in your life. And this is where we begin to unlearn fear around what people think about us. As Buckminster Fuller, I believe, was the one who said, to be free of the good opinion of others is true freedom. No matter what they're saying, good or bad, is not my identity. And fear is not our identity. We've been discovering that lately in this month of March. But also for First Unity, that we have been brought to a place and that has a physical address of 4444. Not everyone's into numerology, but I think it's pretty neat that 4444, the angel number 444, represents establishment, represents rest and respite, and represents growth. That's pretty cool. So here we are now resting for a season at least, resting in a place where we can grow. And we're here on Palm Sunday moving toward the Easter season, which was burying the old, resurrecting the new. And we happened to be at a space that was named years ago St. Luke's. Now, I'm kind of tying these together, so stay with me a moment. St. Luke, the disciple, Luke, a disciple of Jesus, was a physician, a professional healer. So this is a season of healing, a season of restoration, a season of growth, and a season of celebration. And so I'm inviting us into the spirit of that, to really embrace that and enjoy this season. Enjoy, INJOY, enjoy. Allow the joy that's in you to well up during this season. Today, I want to share with you a talk that comes under the series that we've been in, where we've said we're dissolving or letting go of the obsolete self, because we're under the theme of the whole year, the Great Emergence. And we've said that the Great Emergence is going to require that there be some embodiment of the higher principles. That's what we spent January, really, and February talking about. And that part of that embodiment is to let go of the obsolete self, the one that you no longer are, and quite possibly haven't been for a long time, really never were. And we've said that fear, following the first message of this month, which was the shedding of the old skin, letting go of that which doesn't serve you but tries to confine you rather than refine you. We said that fear was a learned behavior, and that fear can be unlearned, because if you can program it, you can deprogram it. And then last week, we looked at how your survival mode and strategy can become a cage. You can get so engrossed in survival that you never reach thrival. And basically, we're saying that that survival becomes a prison cell. And so we're dissolving that space that has confined us, and we're allowing ourselves to be redefined, refined, and redefined by our authentic original design identity, which is that we are children of God, which means we're divine. You're created in the likeness and the image of God. And so today I wanted to sort of wrap this up, if you will, on this fifth Sunday with a message that I've decided to title Being Whole, Consciousness, Connection, and Coherence. Consciousness, connection, and coherence. Because, loved ones, over the last few weeks in this series, we've been telling the truth about something that most people maybe never question. And we're questioning things that some may never question, and that's the self you've been living from. Questioning the self you've been living from, and recognizing that it is not your original self. It's a constructed self, a survival self, and what we've been calling the obsolete self. And here's what we've said. We've said something that changes everything, that fear is learned, which means a lot of what shaped my identity and your identity up till now was not your nature, even if it was normal. It was conditioning. It was adaptation. It was survival. And so today the question becomes, if that self is dissolving, that obsolete self is dissolving, what remains? What's left? And here's the big idea. We've been given a story about wholeness. And this is the story about wholeness that most of us were given, that one day, if we heal enough, if we grow enough, and if we fix enough about ourselves, then we will finally become whole. But it can't be right now. That's what so many are thinking, is it can't be right now. Come on, I'm not whole yet. Have you seen my life? My life's a disaster. But listen, that story of healing enough and fixing enough and becoming better, that story belongs to the survival self. It's not the true you, because the survival self is always trying to improve itself. Instead of approving, we're constantly in self-improvement. And it's doing that so it can finally feel safe. But what if wholeness, Please hear this question today. What if wholeness is not a destination for you? What if wholeness is your natural starting point? Not something you're reaching for or hoping that you will arrive at some point, but what if wholeness, harmony, unity within yourself, what if that is your starting point, not somewhere you're going? And what if it's that starting point that just got covered up by survival? That's all. Just got covered up by survival. And then you're not becoming whole. If that's the truth, then you're not becoming whole. You're just remembering. You are remembering that you were whole and are whole and have been whole the whole time. Now, here's what happened to us. As human beings in this world of existence, you didn't come into the world fragmented, broken. You didn't come in here deficient. You came into the world open. You came in connected. You came in regulated. You came in aware. So you came in open, connected, regulated, and aware. You didn't come in here broken, but life happened, as we call it. Life happened. And like we've been saying really this whole month, your nervous system asked one simple question: what do I have to do to become safe here? What kind of adaptations do I need to make? And then what happened is that you adapted. You adapted to the environment. You became the strong one. You became the achiever. You became the peacemaker. You became the invisible one. You became the performer. And hear me clearly. When we're talking about all of these performance modes, we were saying, and we said this last week, that was not weakness. That wasn't wrong. It wasn't bad. In fact, it was brilliance. To survive that time, your system was trying to protect you. And it did a good job. But here's the shift that we're making. What helped you survive is now limiting your ability to live. That's the obsolete self. Because what helped you survive will not set you free. Your survival strategy kept you alive, but it will never set you free. It'll never let you fully live. The obsolete self is what we're dissolving. Now, when we're talking about that space of time where you begin to recognize that you didn't come in here fragmented or broken or shattered or traumatized, you came in here connected, you came in here regulated, you came in here divine, what happened was fragmentation. You see, every adaptation comes with a cost. It protects you, but it also divides you. Now you're living as one integrated being. You're living as you're not living as an integrated being, but you can be an integrated being. That is the issue with survival strategies, is that it fragments you to a degree. You're not actually broken, but the lenses that you're given make you think that you're broken. So when you're living from the fragmentation of your way of thinking, you're living separated in your mind. This is one of the reasons that Paul talked about being renewed in the spirit of your mind, St. Paul of the Bible, because this is a mind thing. We are separate in our minds, but not in reality. We're fragmented maybe in our minds, but not in reality. And so since you've not been living as an integrated being, you've been living as versions. One version at work, one version in relationships, one version in your mind or in your own mind. And that fragmentation feels like anxiety. It's overthinking. It's people pleasing. And it's exhausting. Not because you're broken, but because you're divided internally. Now, if we zoom out on the systems and we look at the systems, we realize that this didn't just happen personally. It didn't just happen haphazardly. It was reinforced systemically and culturally and even spiritually or religiously. So it was reinforced by all of the systems around you, this idea that you are a fragmented person who came in here at a deficit. Carl Jung said the greatest threat to humanity is unconsciousness. The greatest threat to humanity is not evil, not in an abstract way. It's not a devil or a wrong religion. It is unconsciousness, because what we refuse to face within, we will divide and fight on the outside of us. We will project it and create enemies. And we see it everywhere. Religion told many people, you are separate from God and you must perform to be accepted. And so many of us have believed it. And we see the battle that has ensued because there are religious systems that tell you you're separate and that you have to become somebody or something in order to be accepted in the beloved. But you came in here, beloved. And so sexism said, as a result of all of the religious belief systems, sexism said that part of you is less than. And here's the thing, when you integrate fully the divine feminine and the divine masculine on the inside of you, you no longer are fighting against another sex or expression of sex. You're not fighting in the vortex of what we're experiencing right now and what we think is confused sexual identity. Because sexism says that a part of you is less than. Racism said that part of humanity is less than. Homophobia said love must be filtered. It's got to be a particular way. Different systems, same effect. Fragmentation, internal division, and here's what happened: incoherence. As I mentioned today, we're talking about consciousness, connection, and coherence. Where we've been is incoherence. So now people are living like this. They're saying I'm loved, but they feel unworthy. They're saying I'm free, but they're living constrained. They're saying I belong, but feeling excluded internally. And that's what we call incoherence. And incoherence is exhausting. Incoherence is, it creates a sense of lethargia because you're just trying to find a way to rest in safety. Because you are trying to live a truth your conditioning won't let you feel. See, we've been talking about walking this from belief and cognitive awareness or intellectual knowing into bodily embodiment, integration into the whole being, so that the nervous system is in unity. And so here you are in that feeling of incoherence, and you're not able to feel in your body the truth of the words that we say all of the time. I am divine. I'm created in the likeness and in the image of God. I am love is who I am. Gratitude is my attitude. Abundance is my nature. Well-being is my birthright. Abundance is my nature. Prosperity is natural to me. While your body is saying the opposite because you've been living in a place of incoherence. And here's what happens in the biology. This isn't just a mindset. If it was just a mindset, it'd be different, but it's biology. Dr. Bruce Lipton showed us that your body responds to your perception of reality, not necessarily to reality. Beliefs are instructions. So if your system learned, I'm not safe, I'm not enough, I'm separate, then your body organizes around that and starts to confirm it. It braces, it is always preparing, fight, flight, and freeze, and it protects. And so now the obsolete self is not just your thinking, but it's your nervous system. And this is why you think it's your identity. And so that's what's happening in the biology. Coherence, though, this is where the shift happens. And Greg Braden calls it coherence. Bruce Lipton talked about how the biology is affected directly, informed. Your cells are informed directly by your belief system. And Greg Braden talked about how to create a different belief system within your body is coherence. It's when your heart and your brain and your nervous system are working together. They're coming into alignment. When my brain, my heart, and my nervous system are in alignment, it becomes attunement. Don't miss this, though. Coherence is not something you force or you push. It's what emerges when you stop pretending to be that obsolete self that was a construct. It's when you stop performing. It's when you stop trying to be who you had to be to survive. Because remember, the survival stage and strategy kept you safe and maybe kept you alive during that season of your life, but it will not set you free, and it will not work as the true self. It's not going to work in the land of the true self. So when we come into coherence in mind, body, and mind, heart, and body, the nervous system, we start to awaken. And this awakening is something mystical. And it's not just mystical and far away. It is mystical, but it's not far away. It's not untouchable. The moment you realize that some of what I thought was truth was just training, you begin to wake up. That some of what I thought was identity was adaptation, you start to wake up. That some of what I thought was me was just survival, consciousness comes on board, connection comes on board, coherence comes on board. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. The spell begins to break. And until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But once you become conscious, now you're not a victim of fate. You realize that fate is something you can control, or at least manage. Loved ones, a lot of what we've been calling fate, was just conditioning. Because we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So when we're fragmented and when we're hoping for a better day, and when we're saying it's off in the future or it's far away, one day I will, we're pushing that off to another time and another space. It is now, it is this present moment. That was just conditioning, not fate. And what we are doing right now is we're bringing it into our awareness so that it can dissolve. Because what we won't face, we won't change. But we're bringing this into our awareness so that that old obsolete self and way of doing things can dissolve. So we're becoming conscious of it. We're making connection with our true self. We're bringing our whole being into coherence. And as a result of that, we're realizing our wholeness. Because here's the truth. You are not your patterns. You are the awareness noticing the patterns. The deepest part of you is not afraid. It is aware. The deepest part of you is not fragmented and broken. It is whole and always has been. Pat yourself on the chest and say, I am whole and I always have been. So here's the connection. When that shift happens, connection changes. Your connection, your coherence, your consciousness is changing, because when you live from survival, you relate from protection. You manage, you're monitoring, you're performing. But real connection only happens when you no longer feel like you have to be someone else. Coherence is when what you think, what you feel, what you say, and what you do are no longer in conflict. And when that internal conflict comes to a conclusion and there's peace, there's unity, there's harmony within, you begin to see that shift in your whole life. And this is not perfection, it's alignment, honesty, integration. We're not talking about being perfect. We're talking about being attuned, honest, and integrated. Now take a moment, if you would, to just receive a breath, just for a moment, and notice your body. No fixing, just noticing. Just in this moment right now, noticing, aware of the body and how it feels. And gently ask yourself, where am I still performing to be safe? Where am I holding tension I no longer need? And if I didn't have to protect myself right now, who would I be? Now, instead of the brain answering it, let the body answer that. If I didn't feel like I had to protect myself right now, who would I be? And let your body answer that. And let me say this clearly. You're not healing because you're broken. You're healing because you adapted. And those adaptations are no longer required. So we're not here fixing you. We are dissolving what is no longer true. And we're letting it go. This great emergence. And this is bigger than personal growth. This is the great emergence. It's not just spiritual language and excitement, but it's psychological integration, it's biological recalibration, and it's energetic coherence, conscious, connected, coherent. This is humanity remembering itself. Look up at me. This is humanity remembering itself. This is what has been foretold by many spiritual teachers throughout time. We are of a generation of people who are experiencing this great emergence, this great awakening of consciousness. Not as divided, not as separate. We're remembering ourselves not divided, not separate, not as less than, but as whole individuals, complete. And hear this. Please hear this deep in your soul. The world does not change. It doesn't change because we fix everything out there. It's never been that way. The world doesn't become more peaceful because we force peace on it. We can't bomb our way or shoot our way to peace, as is occurring now. We know that that doesn't work. We should have learned by now. And many of us who've been trying to project peace into the world while we're experiencing inner conflict need to remember that we don't fix the world by fixing everything out there. The world changes because we're not here to fix it. The world changes when enough people stop living divided within themselves. Because systems built on fear can't survive. They just won't. They have expiration dates. And there are many of those systems. But they can't survive, and will not survive in people who are rooted in presence, who are grounded in this higher truth, those who are anchored in love. So no, you're not becoming whole. You are becoming aware. You're not becoming somebody. You are remembering who you are. You're becoming aware of everything that told you that you weren't whole. And as that awareness stabilizes into your being, we've called it your nervous system, into your nervous system, the obsolete self dissolves. Coherence returns. Connection deepens. In fact, what happens in the coherence, we connect with that quantum field of all that's possible. And I point up there, but it's out there, it's over there, it's in here, it's all connected. But that connection becomes a clearer connection, and there's no static because we have that clear connection. Consciousness expands. It expands, and you begin to live Really live not as someone trying to be whole, but as someone who finally remembers that you always were. The salvation we really need in our world is not a salvation from the petty sins that religion has forced us to believe or actual separators from God. The only separation from God we ever experience is in our own mind believing that we're separate. Because you never have been and you never can be. That's why I say the greatest lie propagated on humanity that I can think of is the teaching of original sin. The original sin, if you will, is the teaching that you originate in sin. That is a false, fragmented belief. It's a belief that David had, and he wrote about it in the midst of his psychosis and his pathology. And he said, I was born in sin and shaped in iniquity, and the church created an entire doctrine around it. And it is not the higher truth. In fact, it's not truth. It's one person's struggle with their own obsolete self. And you, my friend, are waking up from that stupor, that sleep, that that intoxication, if you will, and maybe feeling a little hungover from it. But this is what we're here to do, to heal that. As we have said that in this month, we're dissolving the obsolete self as we continue to move toward this great emergence together. So we are conscious, we are connected, and we are coherent as we dissolve this obsolete self. All right, my friend, I love you very much. Now go and make it a great day, a great Easter week, just because you can. Peace. Loved ones, thank you so much for joining us today for our devotional service. The ways to give are on the screen right now. You can, of course, text to give. You can utilize our app. You can also go to firstunity.org/give. And on that page, you can actually decide to become an auto giver. That's really what it takes to become a sustaining partner to this ministry. If you believe in what we're doing here, I'm asking you to consider supporting the light that currently is and seeding that light for the future. We continue with our ways to give by offering our P.O. Box, our Cash App, and our QR code for you to scan on the screen. So I want to say a special thank you to everyone who has chosen this community to be a place where you want to give your financial seed. Know that when you're planting that seed, it is going into fertile soil, and you activate the law of circulation in your life. God bless you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. It begins with me. I am peace. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. It begins with me. I am peace. 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 To take each moment